the phones off or on to silent, please. It's very distracting for people when the phone goes off. Also remind you that this is for members of the public, on the seats there's a sheet that tells you how this committee is run. I must remind you that this is a committee meeting held in public, not a public meeting, so you have no right to speak unless you've been asked to actually speak on anything. And this is a members committee, so members can speak as and when they like. Right, without further ado, we'll carry on with the agenda. Membership of the committee. Labour Group is as printed. We are missing Fazila. Okay. Printed.
We're missing Councillor Taylor and Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Minutes of previous meeting. Can we agree them as a true record?
Yeah.
Move them. Any comments on them? No. Thank you. Interest in lobbying then, can we go on the table? Councillor Finney?
I have been lobbied on item 8, which we are proposing to defer, but that's certainly been one. Item
I think that accounts for everybody. Everybody's been lobbied on item 8. So,
yeah, yes. And item 9 and item 6. No, sorry. These are the...
It's okay.
Item 12.
Site visit one, sorry. Item 12, item 13, and the other one. No, noted.
Okay. Councillor Lawson?
Lobbied on pages 21 and 33, no action taken.
Thank you.
Item 12, Chair.
Thank you, Michelle.
No.
Actor?
12 and 13, Chair, nil advice given.
Thank you.
Page 93 and page 33, no advice given.
Thank you. Councillor Scott?
Page 33 and page 93, no advice given.
Thank you. I've been lobbied on item 12, and I was lobbied on item 14. I shall not be taking part in the vote, but I feel as though I give advice, but I feel as though I can still continue chairing the committee. And I've also raised that with the legal officer, and she agrees. Is that okay? Okay then. Thank you. Deputations and admission of public.
There's no private items, Chair.
Thank you. Deputations and petitions. Has anyone got a deputation on a petition? Nope. Item 6, 7, 8. All the site visits were carried out this morning, apart from the Stocks Bank one, which will be done for the next meeting. Apparently, we're trying to get that Stocks Bank back for the next committee meeting in the next cycle. So can we go on to item 11 then? That's local planning authority appeals.
Thank you, Chair. So Julia Stedman, team leader in development management. As you can see from page 7 of your agenda, there is just one appeal to report. It was for the erection of a place of worship and associated car parking and landscape works at 10 Oxford Road. It was a committee decision to refuse the application against officer recommendation. The appeal has been allowed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments on that, anybody? Councillor Scott?
Yeah, obviously the decision's been made now, but I felt as a community that we were going on highway safety and the congestion that it was going to cause. I think we made the right decision at the time. However, they've got the appeal and they should have.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to back that up. I think we, with the reasons we had for refusing it, were quite legitimate. And I mean, I don't know whether they've applied for costs, but
partial cost.
Sorry,
partial cost.
Partial costs. Right. But this is always difficult. That planning committees are under all sorts of pressures. But I think that we made a perfectly justifiable decision on this one, and whether they been awarded costs or?
I'm just going to come back and say, no, I was wrong on that. It's not partial costs at all. They haven't applied for costs.
Right. So,
The only thing that I can say is that obviously we had it 3 times. It came to the committee 3 times. We've heard it twice. We made a decision. I think we looked into it as deeply as we possibly tried to work with the applicants and tried to get something sorted out. We were under tremendous pressure from the public on this one, and a decision was made by this committee. So the planning inspector actually went against our decision. It doesn't bode well for local involvement, I think, but that's by the by. Yeah. Thank you. Can we move on to the planning applications then? And we go on to item 12. This is change of use. It was here previously. Change of use of existing post office into living accommodation, erection of new post office at 483 Halifax Road, Hightown, Liversedge. Will you do this, Sarah?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. My name is Sarah Lambert, and I'm the case officer presenting this application. Members will recall that the application was brought to committee on the 7th of February, and the proposals put forward at that time comprised a building of substantial height with pitched roof, in addition to works to the rear of the building to provide a parking area. The plan up on the screen at the moment is the plan
these are well rehearsed. I'm still not happy because it's still in effect apply for retrospective permission, and it's a bit like, well, I've got away with a bit of it, and I'll just knock a bit off, and I'll go back a bit. So I'm still not in favour of it, because he applied for permission, he was granted permission, and his roof shot, and we were all on the site visit, and it wasn't like he'd broken a little bit, or bent a little bit. There wasn't a bit of that site, including the public footpath, may I add, where he hadn't decided he would do his own thing. And that's a matter of fact of it. He decided he was going to do his own thing. So we've been caught out. We've gone back and said, well, just have a few tinkering around the edges. And that, for me, that's not acceptable. That comes back to the question I have asked many times, is what are we doing here if people decide what they're going to do and we say, yeah, fine, you can do it once we've got caught. So I will be proposing that we still reject the proposals.
Chair, I'd like to second what Councillor Turner is. We give this applicant every option, and I know officers have worked tirelessly. I'm not happy with the roof being the same on that site line, so I'm happy to support accepting Councillor Turner.
I will echo what both councillors here have said. It really has sort of made a mockery of the original plans. I mean, there was hip roofs supposed to be either end, and you don't accidentally build them. So it does really make a mockery of the planning process, in my opinion.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I go along with what's been said. And in addition to which, we've had a very eloquent contribution from a member of the public who has gone into quite a bit of detail about this. In addition to all of that, I'm slightly concerned about this Section 106 recommendation here, restricting occupation of 483 Halifax Road to that of operators of the new shop. What if the shop is taken over by a national company or a company that has branches and so on? What then happens to the house? Do you insist that say it were Sainsbury's or Londis or something like that? They've got to live in the house. I don't think that works. But for all the reasons that colleagues have mentioned, I would certainly go ahead with refusing it. We need to work out what exactly are the reasons we give for doing that, and I'm still thinking about that.
Can I come back? I'm going to come back in, John. Can I just say something? I think if members can remember the amount of people that came and talked in support of the shop and the development, if you like. I think what we did think about was trying to help this through the planning system. And we said to officers to go out there and try to make something that's workable without full demolition. And I have to say, I think it's a little bit disingenuous of us. I don't know whether we've forgotten that in the heat of the election time or whatever, but I think part of it was us to say, try to work with the developer, try to get something that's acceptable, and try to make it that it's actually through the 106s, that it can be conditional. Now, there may be an argument as far as the 106 is concerned, and the conditions, as far as there's one thing that I'm still not happy with, and that's with the raised garden. I think that should be reduced even further, but we could condition that. But I'm just reminding you of what was said at this last meeting. I think if we go back to officers and say, work with these people to try to get it acceptable, and I'm repeating myself, without full demolition, you won't get both these hips back. It's impossible to get both these hips and still have the space that this guy wanted. And everybody, to a certain extent, supported that. But with that, John, I'm going to let you come back. This is about some consistency.
Thank do differ somewhat in what previous members have talked about. I get it. You know, we all really don't like retrospective planning. You know, it's really unpleasant to have to think that somebody might have got one over on council. But that said, one, we don't use planning to punish. You know, just to say you've been a bad one. You know, let's say you've been a naughty boy. We don't. It shouldn't be used like that. It should be used to regulate. It should be brought back under our supervision, under our planning control, and under our to do the things that are under our gift rather than just get it knocked down. And in many ways, I agree with the chair that if it takes another deferral to negotiate further on some of the things that we're not happy about, can we get it to something that would be acceptable if it came in as a fresh application, that it would get passed? And that's kind of my standpoint, is that if this came in as a fresh application, would it get passed anyway? Or are we being unreasonable in turning it over? And that's my question. I'll throw that back to you.
Yeah, I do recall that part of the public concern was about retaining a post office, because there was some doubt originally that the post office was going to remain there, and I can't see a specific condition about retaining the post office, because this is a bit different from an ordinary shop, and quite important. There isn't another post office that's very close to that, so
that's not in our gift, though, is it?
Just through you, Chair. In terms of the original 2014 permission, which was for the original Hip Truth Start, as part of that, Section 106 was agreed that the post office would remain in the existing building. We would be repeating that 106 as part of this.
But that's
if that was the
in a
recommendation.
sense.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, Andrew, if someone decided to take away the post office, it's not in our.
Oh, no, I understand that part of it, because that has happened in schools. So I know, we've been there. But I am reassured
that is in the 106 anyway.
The post office, we can reassure people that the post office remains, at least as far as but I suspect that the best way forward might be to defer it again, just to make sure that what members have said today can be overcome, can be dealt with
I think we need to make sure what we're going to defer it on. Can't just say we're going to defer it and delegate that back to office. I don't think it's fair.
No.
And on a personal note, I think that garden should be reduced to a little further.
Yeah.
Because, not to say that there should be any passing, but it's too tight. And I think the garden, I don't know whether you want to come in on that or whatever. It's like a private drive. And it's extremely tight for people to be passing up.
There is the
garden should be reduced. However, we need, if we are going to ask for a deferral, we need other reasons as to why we're going to defer it. Because those come back, they'll be only addressing what we've deferred it for.
I can see the logic in deferring it. My only concern with that is the committee might be totally different in the next meeting, and you might have to start this process again. You might have to go back to the site visit, is all I'm thinking. So, if the mood is for the majority of us to go for a deferral, I will draw my objection for a deferral. But I think we just need to bear in mind that the process might be a bit more difficult next time, a bit longer, because there may be some new faces, even to planning, and not understand the full situation. As long as we're aware of that, I'm happy to withdraw my objection for a deferral, but I'll make it very clear, when it comes back next time, it's got to be something I can approve, or I will vote to reject it again, and I will not reject it last time. I still think This bloke is trying the system, and I hate it when people try the system, especially when my name's on it. It's just not on. And I know you're right, we shouldn't use planning for punishment, but we shouldn't also literally have people sticking two fingers up, which is what I think he's done. So, but I will withdraw it for a deferral.
Right, so in terms of the discussions, you seem like you're going down the route in terms of potential deferral of the application. As the Chair pointed out, we need to be clear on what those reasons are. If I run through those amendments which have been sort of put forward to you following the previous committee, can we get an idea in terms of whether you think that does address those concerns or whether those are the elements that you wanted officers to go back on? So I suppose the first one is in terms of the amendment to the part of the roof of the building. So it was to keep the pitch roof as opposed to the hipped roof, but to lower just one part of the roof. Our members suggesting that they want officers to look at reducing all of the ridge height of what's being built, or just a further steer on that would be helpful.
So, through you, Chair, can I just establish that, are you saying that there's no way that one end, which has now been lowered, can't be changed into a head roof? That's what I need to establish. You're saying it can't be done?
So in terms of the head height to get into the storage area, that's where the issue would be.
Head height for the staircase is caused a problem. If you remember, the reason for that being an ordinary gable roof rather than a hipped roof was to allow for the storage, not on the ground floor, but upstairs. So they can utilise upstairs, and you wouldn't be able to utilise as much if you put on your roof. I feel as though I'm speaking for this guy, but I can still remember when we were here and we went through a lot of things with them last time. The reasons as to, and I accept totally what Councillor Turner saying. I've no issue with that. And far be it from me, I abhor retrospective planning. But we give an undertaking to go to officers and go and try to get the best of what we possibly could out of this application. I think this is what we've attempted to do. If there's other things that you can think that we can go back on, as I say, I've raised one of these. If there's other things, then we need to tell them that's what we don't like. Either that, or we just go for the vote now and refuse it. And if people want to refuse it, they refuse it. It really is as simple as that. If you can't think of any other reason as to what you want changing, then we go to the original. I think we go to the original vote.
Yes, can I clarify something, Chair, and that is to do with deliveries. It's not clear to me how deliveries are going to be made to this shop, whether at the front or at the side.
She said it she said the deliveries are going to come to the front.
Well, that could be taken to be a problem because of the. I don't know what happens at the moment, to be honest, but there is parking on both sides of Halifax Road at different times. That having a lorry there would exacerbate that issue. I don't know how else you deal with it, but and maybe that's something that is happening at the moment that we can't do much about. But it has been mentioned about the side and the back of the building. I don't, and the objector does talk about that as well, about the impossibility of dealing with what happens at the back, or the difficulty of dealing with that, and presumably that includes things like disposing of waste. I don't know whether that's an issue that we need to look at.
I think just for you, Chair, in terms of the delivery to the site, referring back to the 2014 application, going to be to the front, that was what was approved. So that would be the case with this application as well.
That's fair
We
enough.
have also looked at conditioning like a delivery management plan as set out in the update. So we would actually or potentially be more control over it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Bin
That's
storage,
clarified that.
we've now got that detail shown on the plan as well.
Which wasn't there last time.
No,
That's correct.
I appreciate that. That's good. Thank you.
Chair, could we have the actual picture rather than the plans? Because I'm trying to imagine what it will like. It's all right having the drawing, but just to have a look. It's not the front, it's the back side. Because there was also parking for staff to be there as well, wasn't there, to the rear? Was it for 3 parking spaces?
That's with the layout plan.
Yeah. Is that remained or is that gone? That's still going to be there. Well then, as far as I'm concerned now, on reflection, I'm just looking at the pictures. It's not, I don't want to see the plans, I want to see the pictures. When you look at it, you can actually visualise it better. And for me now, he's actually gone away and done nearly everything we asked. That's where I'm at now.
That's the thing through you, Chair.
Yeah.
In terms of there was the concern with the public footpath, he's gone ahead and he's widened that.
Yeah.
He's looked at in terms of widening the actual access to the back of the site, even though it's not actually going to be used by members of the public. He's done that element. It's obviously like say, whilst our desire would have been to have seen the ridge of the whole building reduced down, it's then balancing up in terms of it's to use the storage on that upper floor because he's having to provide the toilet facilities on the ground floor, which is where the storage was going to be. So from that side of things,
Yeah.
it's taken all those different factors on board.
Simon, can I ask you a question? When are you doing? When is the roof going to commence to be? Reduced. As soon as you get the application. Come to, because everybody needs to leave.
Stuck in the traffic. What I did want to mention before in the last meeting, unfortunately, after the meeting, I didn't get a chance to speak again. I know the respective councillors were very aggrieved at the fact that he'd been enforced, noticed and carried on. That is totally incorrect. It's unfair to my client. He has really seriously been naive on this. He's never done an extension before. He's never done a building before. When the plans are approved, I'm not the project manager. My plans are approved and that's it. And the guy's come in. He's done everything in accordance with building regs. The building regs said if you want storage up there, the actual officer said you've not got enough header. You're going to have to provide disabled level threshold. You're going to have to provide disabled access, ambient steps, and an additional header. So he says, well, what do I do? And he then basically asked the trust company what could do. He thought that building regs worked in line with planning, and he carried on. And it was only when he'd done the roof, when people realised he hadn't done it in accordance with the regs, that it was then an enforcement notice was issued via an email to me, which I copied to my client. So sorry, yes.
No, you're okay.
But he will do. He
It's
will
all
do.
pertinent what you say. Please take your seat.
Sorry. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, I would still think we need to defer it because I'm not happy about the relationship with the house because I think that could give rise to difficulties if the ownership of the shop changes. And if we've got a condition or as Section 106 agreement that restricts that, then that could give rise to difficulties.
All I was going to, sorry, Chair, through you, Chair, I was going to, in response to that, it's in terms of what would you be looking at doing, other than reducing the ridge height of the building back to what was the original approval. There's not really anything else that
because
address
it's in the original
that
application.
Yeah, well, I
There's
don't
no
have a problem with
restrictions on
the
that.
ridge height.
Yeah. But what she's saying is there's no restriction on the original application as to what you're asking for. So you can't retrospectively, we can't retrospectively change them conditions. Sorry.
Based on what's been said, I think we should, I'm minded to approve now. Approve, because I can't think of any other reason why not to now. I think we've exhausted everything, so I'm minded to approve this delegated back to work. So I'm happy to move it.
Does anybody second that?
I'll second that.
You second it. Right. You've got a. Are you happy that you've actually rescinded that original?
I'll rescind my objection, but I still think we should defer it, so I will propose we defer it. So if you want a reason, I'm still not happy with the roof height, and I think we can see whether more can be done. And if more can't, well, that's fine, but let's have a look at it again, and we'll put some pressure on. And the back of the garden, as you rightly point out, the back of the garden there is an issue.
I wanted to come on that, onto that, because we're going to move her in a second to actually accept officer's recommendation. Delegate back. I think we should delegate it back with this idea about the garden at the back, whether they can reduce it further so as they can get some passing, if a car's coming in and somebody can pass as they're walking through it, because I think that's extremely dangerous, to be quite honest with you, with the parking spaces there. The other thing I think is, and the reason I asked the architect about when the roof is going to be done, I think we should not put forward, send any decision notice out until we know that roof has commenced. And that's within our gift, isn't it? That work has got to commence before a decision notice is sent.
We wouldn't need to issue the decision, otherwise the works would be unauthorised or being carried out. What we were looking, or what officers were suggesting about completing the reduction in the ridge height within the 6 months from the Land Commission, that was a suggestion put forward by officers.
Are we happy with that? I'd like it to be a bit stronger, but that's entirely up to us.
What, 3 months?
I would say 3 months, seriously.
Yeah.
I would say 3 months. Let me know it's there. Okay? Right, we're going to move on in a second to accept officers' recommendations to approve this application and delegate back to officers for the conditions that we put forward. All those in favour? Anybody against? Application is approved. We move on to item 13, that's a planning application, outline application erection of residential development, associated access at Green Acres Close, Henley.
Thank you, Chair. Victor Grayson, Senior Planning Officer, Majors and Minerals Team. This is an application for outline planning permission with all matters reserved other than access to residential development. The application site is located between the residential streets of Wentworth Drive to the west and Green Acres Close to the east in Emily. There is a cricket ground and football ground to the north that's designated as urban green space in the local plan, and Emily Millennium Green is located to the south, and that's in the green belt. The site is 1.18 hectares in size. The site is relatively flat and is slightly elevated above the surrounding area. The site is grassed and is a greenfield site. It currently has no buildings. It's not in a conservation area. There are no listed buildings immediately adjacent to the site. There are no two public rights-of-way across the site, as illustrated, one diagonally almost across the centre of the site and one along the site's eastern boundary. The site is accessible from these public rights-of-way and from the terminus of Greenacres Close. And if I zoom in, members can see the vehicular and pedestrian gates at the end of Greenacres Close, which they would have seen on the site visit this morning. The Millennium Green is also accessed via these gates and via the southeast corner of the application site. Greenacres Close is connected to the wider highway network via Warburton. Paragraph 10.29 of the committee report describes Warburton and its constraints. These include lack of pavements, several front doors opening directly onto the carriageway, and poor visibility at the junctions with connecting streets and with driveways. This is an image from Google Maps. At the other end, the west end of the site, Wentworth Drive, has pavements and generally better highways conditions. Again, this is an internet image from some years ago. Members would have seen today that the shrubs at the end of the street are now much taller. Oh, beg your pardon. Members didn't see those shrubs. There is, however, a ransom strip at the terminus of Wentworth Drive, divided into 4 parcels of land under 3 ownerships. Although the application is for outline planning permission with approval of the principle of residential development and access sought, the applicant has submitted an indicative layout plan showing 44 residential units. Some supporting documents refer to a development of 50 or approximately 50 units. A single vehicular access is proposed from the east, from Greenacres Close, and also pedestrian connections to the public rights-of-way and the Millennium Green are proposed. Short terraces, detached or semi-detached dwellings are shown on this indicative plan. Much of the public rights-of-way where they run through the site will be subsumed into a footway and a private drive. The principle of residential development is considered acceptable due to the site allocation, but permission to develop this scarce greenfield site should not be given lightly. High-quality development that mitigates its impacts is required here. Contrary to the Council's expectations when the site was allocated, and contrary to pre-application advice, vehicular access is only proposed from the east. This is a far inferior proposal in terms of highway safety and efficiency than providing vehicular access from Wentworth Drive to the west. For a development of approximately 50 units, the applicant predicts 28 two-way vehicular movements along Warburton in the morning peak, 31 in the evening peak. Noting Highways Officer's advice that these predictions are conservative, this would be a significant increase in traffic on a compromised road that already serves over 80 properties in the farm. And while Warburton currently has a good accident record, obviously in relation to current traffic levels, testimony from residents who have objected to the application suggests near misses do occur, and the additional traffic would increase the risk of accidents and conflicts here. The applicant has proposed works to Warburton in an attempt to improve highway safety. However, it is considered that these proposals will not provide real improvements to enable the significant increase in traffic to be accepted here. Some of the proposed measures would result in a reduction in space for on-street parking for existing residents of Warburton. Officers have requested details of what efforts the applicant team have made in attempting to secure access from Wentworth Drive over the ransom strip. In response, the applicant has provided a drawing confirming that the ransom strip is divided into those 4 parcels in 3 ownerships, but has not demonstrated that this means that access from Wentworth Drive is unachievable or has even been attempted to be secured. Access matters have been discussed at length with the applicant team at pre-application and application stage. Given that these discussions have been exhaustive but have not resolved matters, refusal of planning permission on highway safety grounds is recommended rather than continued discussion. Following refusal, the applicant will be able to properly explore the possibility of providing access from the much more appropriate west and then submit a further planning application. Other planning matters are considered in detail in the committee report. Matters of detail and concern would be addressed at the reserved matter stage or via conditions had the application been recommended for approval and then approved. 124 representations were received in response to the Council's consultation. Councillor Paula Sherritt MP and Councillor Will Simpson have also objected to the application. Refusal of Planning Permission is recommended in accordance with the amended reason for refusal set out in the committee update. Thank you, Chair.
So, Ryan, I think you should remain responsible for the please.
Through you, Chair, ranking the Highway Development Management. The information I'm going to present to you is just reiterating what my colleague has already said, but here we go. Warburton currently serves circa 80 dwellings. With this proposal, it should increase by up to 60%, which is considered a significant increase given the proportion of development. The proposed sightline improvements at the junction of Upper Lane will include the narrowing of Upper Lane itself. Now, this would already be narrow, and the presence of parked cars would not be considered in the best interest of highway safety and efficiency. Warburton is not considered to be a shared surface street due to its nature and lack of off-street parking. It is considered to be a road with no footways, which is contrary to the draft SPD Highways Design Guide. As identified in the local plan, Wentworth Drive is considered to be a more suitable access with traditional estate road layout, including footways on both sides, and all existing properties having sufficient off-street parking. In addition, the existing visibility at the junction of Warburton Drive and where it comes onto Beaumont Street is to be acceptable without any further mitigation measures. It is therefore considered from a highways perspective unsuitable in its current form. Thank you, Chair.
Public speakers now. Paula Kent. Sorry.
Chairman, members, good afternoon.
Could I ask who you are? Sorry.
I'm Andrew Kirby.
Paula, you were down first to speak. It's okay, don't matter. Can I just remind you, you've got 3 minutes to speak, and please keep an eye on the clock.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members. I'm Andrew Kirby of Northern Transport Planning Consultants and speak on behalf of Emily local residents. We consider that planning permission for the proposed development should be refused due to the unacceptable impact on road safety, and therefore support the officer recommendation. Whilst the site is allocated for housing, the proposals do not accord with the local plan. The allocation was made on the basis that Greenacres Close and Warburton would form only a minor secondary access, rather than the sole vehicular access as now proposed. Over a full day, the proposed development would generate around 300 additional vehicle movements, increasing traffic on Warburton, as the officer has said, by around 60%, the impact of which the next speaker, Paula Kemp, will deal with. The applicant proposes various measures to mitigate traffic impact. However, these measures are themselves problematic. At the junction of Upper Lane and Warburton, visibility will remain substandard, and the proposed build-out would reduce carriageway width on Upper Lane to an extent that the road would be too narrow for a bus and HGV to pass. Improved public footpath links to the village centre are proposed. However, these emerge onto Upper Lane at locations where no near-side footway is available and visibility is restricted. There is therefore no place of safety for pedestrians to stand when emerging onto Upper Lane. With regard to road safety, the submitted transport statement indicates no recorded accidents locally in the last 5 years. The report, however, fails to recognise that 2 road traffic accidents involving serious injury to pedestrians were recorded on Upper Lane immediately adjacent to the junction with Warburton during this period. In conclusion, members, I therefore urge you to accept the policy guidance provided in the local plan and the National Planning Policy Framework and refuse planning permission in accordance with the officer recommendation due to the unacceptable impact on road safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just said to members of the committee, there's 2 more speakers before Mr. Butler was supposed to speak. He's not, allegedly he's not coming, but I asked him to stay. Can I pass that statement out? The member's got a copy. Are you okay with that? That's fine.
recommendation for rejection based upon highway safety, and hope Mr Andrew Kirby of Northern Transport Planning, acting on behalf of those objecting to this site. Today, with your own site visit, you will have seen for yourselves the highway and parking constraints on Warburton, Greenacres and Saxon Close. Upper Lane, which is the main road through the village, has huge congestion and on-street parking issues from one end of the village to the other. Warburton does not have footpaths. Also, long stretches of Upper Lane have footpaths to one side of the carriageway only. Residents, including school children, having to stand on the highway to wait for buses. The only children's playground in Emley and Emley Moor, as you've seen, is on Warburton, and the volunteer-maintained Emley Millennium Green is accessed via Greenacres Close, again off Warburton. In the case officer's submission, it is noted that Denbydale Ward is deficient in parks and recreation grounds. The application itself shows an area of landscaping on land which belongs to the Millennium Green, which includes disabled parking access to the green. The village has had and continues to have serious problems with foul water drainage and water pressure issues. The addition of a large-scale development will add to the problems on a system that cannot cope now. Again, the developer has not asked Emley Millennium Green trustees about access, nor have they given permission for any drainage or other works in or across the green. Public transport to and from Emley and Emley Moor is scant. There are well-documented problems of unreliability, which parish and ward councillors will testify to. There is no direct bus service to Clayton West, Skelmanthorpe or Denbydale. Residents are reliant on private vehicle use to access jobs, amenities and services. The topography of Emley and the narrowness of the country lanes to and from the village make walking or cycling to any nearby settlements unfeasible and dangerous. Based upon this, any new housing development could not be considered sustainable. I ask you to support the residents of Emley and Kirklees officers in rejecting this application. Thank you.
Councillor Simpson, please. Can I just remind you, Will, you've got 5 minutes as opposed to...
Thank you, Chair. Colleagues, I'm here today to object to this application. There are a number of issues regarding this proposal. One of them is the effect on Emley's limited public amenities, which have been touched upon in the officer's report. And another is the stress that has been put on the facilities at local middle schools, which are already individually and collectively over permission numbers. The cumulative effect that developments, including this one, have upon that. But primarily, the clearest reason that this application should be rejected is the inappropriate access and the effect on highway safety. Due to its status as POL in the 1999 UDP, this site was registered with the local plan as a housing allocation. And that was done so on the basis of primary access being provided through Wentworth Drive and highway safety not being compromised. As has been made clear by the previous speakers and the community's overwhelming objections, Warburton is a road with no pavement for pedestrian movements and has single-way access due to the high volume of parked vehicles. The playground is located near the top and the village centre at the bottom, meaning that pedestrian movements on this road, particularly those by children, are substantial and are already, as the officer's report puts it, significant constraints. The Council's own 2016 consultation document stated that third
members? Councillor Turner?
Thank you, Chair. I think everything I was going to say has already been said, so all my notes are that would waste time, wouldn't it? I can't disagree with anything anybody said. Just to add that, as Will rightly pointed out, it is a local plan site. I accept that. I accept we now have a valid local plan. That does not mean that developers still don't have to comply with planning regulations, and they clearly have not failed to do that, as we saw this morning. And as I know it well, Warburton is a one-way road most of the time, especially when residents are back from work. A lot of front doors open out onto the street. There is no parking. We saw, again, at Wentworth Avenue, quite a bit of difficulty there, but at least that's a proper access. Try and suggest that you should narrow up a lane, which again, when everybody's there, of an evening and a weekend, is a one-way traffic because there's no street parking at all on the, what I call the north side. It just doesn't make sense. And somewhere in the report I read that we're going to put some H-bar markings in. Well, we know they're not enforceable. And if we know they're not enforceable, the residents will know they're not enforceable. And even if they were enforceable, who's going to enforce them? So it's an absolute nonsense of an application. It contravenes everything that was in the local plan. The reason it was in the local plan contravenes it. And there's a little bit here that I've read from this. Whether I'm interpreting it, I don't know. It says the perceived highway concern associated with Woollen would have still, of course, remain. So he's sort of admitting that there's problems, but if you don't do this, they'll still be there. But he wants to add to them. So I think this from PBP is very, very poor to be fair. And I will happily recommend we refuse this on highways grounds. It has to be on highways grounds. I get that. That's the only reason I can. But on highways grounds, you should absolutely reject it.
Councillor Scott?
Yeah, I think it did warrant a site visit this morning, and I think we're all, you'll be in agreement that it is a very dangerous highways issue. This is Warburton, the access point, there's no way possible that that could happen. And Wentworth Avenue, whilst we did try to access through that way, obviously some vehicles were there. But I do think the highway safety issues is from a rejection. And it does stick in my throat that, you know, it is part of the local plan, but we've got to get it right, safety first. So I agree with everything that Councillor Turner says, and I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to echo what's been said. It is a site in the local plan, and so some development will take place. It will have to be a completely different layout because the access would be from a different point. I'm not even sure that having a vehicle access via Greenacres Drive is all that sensible, even if it's only for a few houses, given what's been said about the total unsuitability of Warburton as an access. It's got problems already with what traffic it's got. So I know this is for another time, but I'm not sure Greenacres Drive is a good access for any number of vehicles, but I support the opposite recommendation.
Through you, Chair. Whilst I agree with all my colleagues, what they've said, just want to also point out that the applicant has made no attempt to purchase the land, and I think we can't make a decision based on the fact that he's not even attempted to do that. How difficult that will be long term with having 4 different owners, I think it's going to be quite difficult, but I think at this stage that's not even been attempted, so on that basis I don't think we can approve these plans, and I will also voting with officer recommendation.
Yes, I support the officer's recommendation and moving on to.
Just really wind up by saying it's not too dissimilar than the previous application, to be quite honest with you, because they haven't listened. And at least one attempted to do something about it. They attempted to do something about it. And for various reasons, I don't know how much this application costs. It must have cost them a fortune, but it's nothing to do with the profits that will be out of this development. I think what week tied up is going to be extremely hard, but that's something they're going to have to do to make it acceptable, not only to us as a committee, but also to the community. And I know the community don't want this development, but it's in the plan now anyway. So that argument has gone. What we tried to do here, and I think those that are here today, is that we try to work with developers and we try to work with the communities to get the best we possibly can out of it. And that's a promise from us that we will try to do that if and when this application comes back. Because everybody that said it, and I always say this, it's the virtue of going on a site visit is something like that site visit this morning. You couldn't even think about it as bad as what it is until you're actually there and you've seen what was actually there. So without further ado, then let's go to the vote. We've got more than a second to accept officer's recommendation to refuse. There's no further things that we can put upon that. But all those in favour of officer's recommendation? That's refused unanimously. Thank you. And we move on to item 14. This is demolition of existing dwelling rates on 4 dwellings of Woollen.
Thank you, Chair. The application site is a level site containing existing dwellings to be demolished. The site fronts both Leeshall Road and Woollen Lane, events visited this morning. So the commission is sought for the demolition of the existing dwelling, as we said, as shown on that site plan there, and the erection of 4 dwellings. These would take the form of 2 pairs of semi-detached dwellings, being 2 stories in scale, so plots 1 and 2 would have accommodation in the roof space. Plots will be positioned to the front of the site towards Woollen Lane, with a small yard area and parking provision to the side of each dwelling. Given the former location of the site and the scale of the proposed dwellings, one of the main concerns to officers is the design and scale of the dwellings. Whilst amendments have been made, officers are still concerned with some aspects of the design, particularly the rear gable to plot 1 and the step design, which has been amended to accommodate the standoff of the existing file store across the side of the site. Also, due to the angular shape of the site, it narrows towards the southern boundary. And the result of this is that overall, due to the scale and layout of the development, with little amenity space or areas for landscaping, the dwellings will appear to result in a cramped form of development. Notwithstanding that some amendments to the design have been undertaken, and the dwellings will be constructed of materials which are considered to be appropriate in this context. In terms of the layout and design, officers consider it would not be acceptable from a visual amenity perspective, contrary to policy PLP 24, calculated plan, and practical PPF. The development will be located adjacent to
I realise what the officer's recommendations are on this, but I do see there being a need for housing, and whoever the applicant is are trying to make the best they can out of the land that they've got. I know it's restrictive, but I've seen tighter restrictions than this. And one of the things I wanted to ask, when you talk about the obscure glass going in the rear, and that's going to be the only thing, but isn't there creative lighting within property now that enhances properties with the lighting within? So is it going to have a massive impact?
Do you want to come back on that, sir?
Through you, Chair. Whilst obscure glazing isn't out of the question for bedrooms, with that being the only window serving that bedroom, you would normally expect that obscure glazing wouldn't be required, although I know your point with regard to other ways of getting light into the bedroom that would be possible.
Anybody else?
I think 4 is too much. I think it's too much on that side. Yes, we do need housing, but it's got to be the right housing. It's got to be the right place. And I think that 4 on that side is too much. It would have been a semi or possibly even 3 I might have, but 4 I think is too much. I think the height of them, the ones, it's plot 1 and 2 where it's got the dormer in, is far too high. If you look around the surrounding areas, no other dormers. This is one of the few areas where there's very little building work, but it's actually gone over this. And I think it's totally out of keeping with character. I think the residents opposite, looking at a fairly large thing, is unfairness. So I would agree on those recommendations on this one, I'm afraid.
You're moving that.
I'll move we approve of the recommendations.
Chair, I'm in a balance here because we've had two objections, and one was looking at the street scene, and particularly with the brick and the stone, the sale loss of the stone. However, the majority of that area is red brick, so I'm quite supportive of this application. So I will move to support this application.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to support Councillor Turner because I think, in addition to the reasons for refusal that listed here, I think it's overdevelopment. I don't know whether that is within those things. It is in a way. And one of the important things here is at the end of the second reason for refusal, ensure that developments function well. And this clearly, to me, it doesn't. And if you've got to have a bedroom with obscure glazing, then something's gone wrong. Because you're having to do that because it's overlooking somebody's garden, and that's not acceptable. It doesn't work. And one of the things that we are enjoined to do by the National Planning Policy Framework is good development, good planning. And I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't think this is two dwellings would probably be what fits in with the surroundings. I accept that we need housing, but there is also the factor of making sure that what is put on a particular site actually fits with what's already there. And frankly, I don't think this does.
So you
Second. Oh, sorry.
Councillor Gainsmead.
Yeah, my concern is also some of these are going to be 4-bedroom family homes. And with 4-bedroom family homes, you would expect to have like a decent sized garden, at least. And I agree with what Councillor Turner and Councillor Pinnaker said. I do believe it is overdevelopment. And I think possibly for 2 houses, but I will agree with refusal.
I agree with Council Scott, but see if they can reduce one of the dwellings.
There's a mover and a second there. I know you haven't been second yet, but to accept officer's recommendations. Is there anything that we can, I know we come back on 2 occasions to do an amendment. Is there anything that we can offer to the development at all on this? that's not before, is it?
No,
Just more
no,
than
that's
that.
right, that's right.
I'm not saying that, it's just trying to give some information.
Sorry, on here it says the constituent and his agent have addressed all the issues that you have raised. Yeah.
Through you, Chair, I think that's Councillor
Ahmed,
Councillor Ahmed's
That's his
request.
interpretation.
So
Right, we're going to move on in a second then to accept officers' recommendation first. All those in favour? I can't vote on this one. Councillor Turner.
Right.
So you moved it.
You moved it, yes.
I was just re-looking at the site again, that's all.
Councillor Akhtar voted.
Councillor Akhtar, you're not voting? No, it's okay. Are you
no, I think he wants to move the
right?
stop.
Anybody against officers' recommendations? Application is refused. Okay. Right. Agenda item 15 is the change of use. Shop operating Lala's restaurant, D51 Bradford Road.
Thank you, Chair. Me and Thomas, case officer for this application. Planning permission is sought for the change of use of part of the adjoining shop to extend the restaurant at Lala's in Bradford. The proposed change of use is retrospective and the works were carried out in October 2017. The application was fully brought to Heavy Woollen subcommittee due to a significant number of representations that have been received. Members visited the site this morning. So as you can see on the plan here, this is existing, so we've got the A1 use here on your plan, and this is the restaurant element of the site. If then I go to the proposed plan, this is the change that members are debating this afternoon. So the changes are internal and consist of the provision of a wash area, a cold room, a storeroom and a toilet associated with the restaurant. So this is the change here. There's no external alterations. In terms of the number of tables at the restaurant, that won't change, meaning that there'll be no additional trips to the site from customers and there won't be an increase in staff numbers. So there's no objection from highways. In terms of environmental health, the uses that are in the back there are non-noise generating uses, and environmental health haven't received any complaints. So considering those issues, officers are recommending approval of the application. Thank you, Chair.
Members? Anybody?
Move the officer's recommendation.
Second. Okay. So we've got moving the second to accept officer's recommendation, that is to approve. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Then we go to item 16. We need your approval on this. This is planning application for Stocks Bradford Road. The developer requested a referral. The officers accepted that. The officers came to me to see whether I could accept it, and I accepted it on our behalf. So I just wanted to vote on that. So this item is deferred till the next meeting. All those in favour? Anybody against? That's deferred then. Thank you. Go to item 17. Lucky last. This is 70. Correction of two-storey, single-storey rear extension at Fair Grove, 21 Fair Grove, Kirklees, Ravensthorpe.
Thank you, Chair. Members visited the site this morning, and the application site comprises a semi-detached dwelling located on a similar properties. Permission is sought for the erection of a single-storey front extension and single and two-storey rear extensions and a detached garage.
this is my ward.
Oh, sorry, we haven't got a speaker. Mr. Rafiq, sorry. I apologise.
Just want to say a few words.
3 minutes, Mr. Rafiq, sorry.
I'll be less than 3 minutes anyway. Obviously, I'm the applicant, 21 Kirklees. Obviously, the drive is public footpath in between number 90 and 21. Hence the reason why the drive is quite narrow. Can't get a car in there. Hence the reason why in plans I need access from Firth Road. Firth Road is not public road. I know you've had a few objections. It's not public road. It's maintained by highways. Third Avenue, which is on the other side near Firth Road, number 12 and 14, they use Firth Road for access for their garages as well. I don't see why I shouldn't. Second of all, these plans were passed in 2004 for access. I don't want to park my car on Firth Road. I just merely need access to park the car in the garage. That's all it is. The residents don't have an issue with the extension. It's just the access.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. This is my ward, so I know the area really well. They should go with the officer's recommendation, but there should be a condition because there's the house next door on Firth Road in the corner, there's a disabled child. So there should be a condition where certain times the vehicle access can be gone through Firth Road.
Chair, I was happy to support the application. Equally, I was going to talk about the disabled parking badge that's been put there. However, there was no markings on the outside on the road. So it was conditioning it to, to come to some arrangement that whilst vehicular access is needed, no obstruction should be outside that. There should be within your own boundary, driving into your own boundary. So, but I'm happy to remove the application.
Whilst I'm not in disagreement with the plans at all, I just have just a concern really, because at History of Negotiations 5.1, it was pointed out that they wanted to extend the garage which into like a dormer for living accommodation. So assuming if they're building a double garage, it will be used for cars and not further planning put in for conversion to a bungalow 12 months down the line. So can we put some sort of condition that the garage is for cars and not for humans?
John?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I did look to see whether permitted development rights were going to be removed. And it's mentioned specifically elevations, the new openings in the side elevations, and that's a point that I think that's very good. I think I'd want to add, having visited the site today, I'd want to add the infill between the brick posts on the wall where the ginnel was. I say ginnel, some people call it a different thing, snicket, whatever. Because there's a real danger, I think, of a tunneling effect there that we really try and avoid, I think, or we should be trying to avoid. So I'm nervous that if you were going to infill between those posts with brick, it really kind of change their snake and make it not unusable, but unattractive to use, and I think it's worth putting in there. Yeah, because currently there is an extension being built with 10, 15-foot walls. It's replaced the wall, I think.
How far does their extension?
It is a side extension. The extension at the application site don't include a side extension.
So you, Chair, they would have permitted development rights to extend to the side. So if you're suggesting remove those permitted development rights for any further extension, then
Yeah.
that's something we could look at.
Okay, Councillor Pinner.
Thanks, Chair. This is a query about the garage. reassurance that it is possible to turn a car round in Fir Grove. Is it Fir Grove?
I wanted Ryan to come in on this because I asked him a question this morning. We asked at Chair's briefing, I asked him to go back to K&H to see whether it's possible to actually get access through there because and obviously it's been done previously. Now they could have been done unlawfully, but apparently no, it's K&H have accepted the use that. With regard to the parking in that space, what Councillor Perez was talking about, we had a discussion. Do you want to say what you said this morning?
Very good, Chair. Fir Grove itself is adopted in its entirety right up to the boundary. Now, access is taken by several other properties, as you can see. Now, if any parking was to occur on there which blocked access for this and any others, it would then be an enforcement matter with the police. So it would be classed as an obstruction. So as far as I can see, that area, it's going to be kept clear because if you obstruct it, it's going to be an enforcement matter with the police.
Are you listening to that, Mr. Ruffy? The front of the garage, you can't park your car there anyway. No. I'm just saying that it's enforceable by law to actually ask you to remove that car. Is that okay? We're just bearing in mind about the disabled access and things like that. We just want you to know that that's what we're looking at.
Just through you as well, Chair, in terms of Councillor Pinnock's question in terms of whether you can turn round in Third Row, we've given a vehicle down when we did site visits and things, so yeah, you can turn within this. Yeah.
Through you, Chair, yeah. I've got a big car, so I've turned round.
Right, no, that's all.
It's just the disabled.
It could be an issue. So that's
We have got most in a second.
Yeah.
Bear in mind the condition that removal of the TV rights to the site.
Yeah.
Okay, we add that to the condition. Right, all those in favour of the officer's recommendation to approve. Anybody against? Unanimous. It's the end of today. It's the end of the new year.
Yes.